There's a moment most people never talk about. It's not loud. It doesn't come with closure. No argument, no dramatic exit. It happens quietly. You simply stop explaining yourself. You don't clarify why you're distant. You don't justify why you said no. You don't rush to correct misunderstandings. And for the first time, you let people sit with their assumptions. At first, it feels uncomfortable, almost wrong, because you were taught that being understood is necessary, that clarity is kindness, that silence means guilt. But then something strange happens. Your nervous system relaxes. Your mind slows down. Your energy stops leaking. And you realize something unsettling. You were never exhausted because life was hard. You were exhausted because you were always explaining yourself to people who never truly listened. This video is not about arrogance. It's not about emotional withdrawal. And it's not about becoming cold. It's about the psychological shift that happens when you stop giving constant access to your inner world, and why that silence changes everything. Most people don't explain themselves because they want to. They do it because they were trained to. From a young age, you learned something very specific. If someone is upset, explain. If someone misunderstands you, clarify. If someone feels uncomfortable, fix it. Over time, this becomes automatic. You don't even ask yourself, do I owe this explanation? You just give it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Explanations are rarely about clarity. They are about control. When someone demands an explanation, they're not always seeking understanding. Often, they're seeking reassurance, or compliance, or emotional access. And every time you explain yourself unnecessarily, you teach people something dangerous, that they are entitled to your inner reasoning, that they get to audit your boundaries, that your choices must be approved to be valid. Slowly, invisibly, your autonomy erodes. Being constantly available feels like kindness, but psychologically, it creates imbalance. When people know they can always reach you, always question you, always receive a response, they stop respecting your internal limits. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but predictability kills presence. You become emotionally flat in their perception. Your yes loses weight. Your presence loses gravity. And here's the part no one tells you. People value what they can't immediately access. Not because they're cruel, but because scarcity creates awareness. When your energy is always available, no one feels it when it's gone. Until one day, you stop explaining. You stop reacting instantly. You stop clarifying every silence. And suddenly, people feel the absence. Silence is not empty. Silence is confrontational. When you stop explaining yourself, you remove the emotional mirror. No feedback, no reassurance, no narrative correction. And now, the other person has to sit with their own thoughts. This is deeply uncomfortable for most people, because without your explanation, they are left with uncertainty. And uncertainty forces self-reflection. They begin to ask, did I misjudge them? Why do I feel unsettled? Am I losing control here? This is why silence feels powerful. Not because it dominates, but because it removes dependency. And dependency is where most subtle power dynamics live. When you stop explaining yourself, people respond in very predictable ways. Some become curious. Some become respectful. Some become anxious. And some become hostile. Not because you did something wrong, but because you changed the rules. They were used to access, used to reassurance, used to emotional transparency. Your silence feels like rejection, even if it isn't. And here's the painful truth. Some relationships survive on explanation, not connection. When explanation disappears, the relationship collapses. And that collapse is not your failure. It's exposure. You didn't lose people. You lost roles. When you stop explaining yourself, something changes inside you first. Your thoughts slow down. You stop rehearsing conversations. Stop justifying decisions in your head. Stop preparing defenses for situations that haven't happened. Your mental noise fades. And in that quiet, you meet yourself again. Not the version shaped by reaction, but the version shaped by intention. You begin to feel grounded, not because people approve of you, but because you approve of your choices. This is where real confidence forms. Not loud confidence, not performative confidence, but internal certainty. Most people chase closure. They want to be understood. They want the final conversation. They want the explanation to land. But peace doesn't come from closure. Peace comes from acceptance without explanation. From knowing, I don't need to be understood to be at peace. That realization is terrifying at first, because it removes the illusion of control. But it also removes the need to perform. And that freedom is addictive. After you stop explaining yourself, your circle gets smaller, but stronger. Your words carry weight. Your silence carries meaning. People approach you with more care, or not at all. And either outcome is clarity. You don't chase understanding anymore. You live aligned. And alignment is magnetic. One day, you'll notice it. You didn't explain. You didn't justify. You didn't react. And nothing collapsed. In fact, everything stabilized. Because the moment you stopped explaining yourself was the moment you stopped negotiating your worth. And that quiet, that calm, that stillness, that's not emptiness. That's power. Thank you for watching till the end. If this video helped you in any way, consider subscribing for more thoughtful content like this. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.